Hi there. Let's talk about some flexibility training tips. So very important for pole dancers to cultivate this and aerialists, because it makes everything that we do more easy. It allows us to sink into shapes, and it also opens the door to more shapes. Certain movements are going to require more flexibility, and so it's really worth it to our practice to cultivate this. But also, when we train flexibility correctly, it gives us more strength, it gives us more stability, it gives us more coordination, it gives us more longevity in our movement. Also, if we're not training this correctly, we can hurt ourselves and we can actually be more prone to injury. So there's some things that are very important to keep in mind. So let's just kind of go through some of them. The number one thing is to get your mindset right about this, okay? Flexibility is going to take patience and consistency. Easier said than done. Patience and consistency. Work hard on it consistently, you're going to get results. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to show up for a couple of sessions and expect to really get massive improvement. It does not work like that. So first of all, understand that it's just going to be a process. And it's going to be for longevity, and it's going to give you more longevity, so map it out that way initially. A lot of the times we hurt ourselves so much with our strength and flexibility because maybe we used to be stronger. Maybe when we were younger we were more flexible. And yeah, duh, of course you are. And if you aren't cultivating those muscles, if you aren't cultivating those stretching muscles, you're going to diminish in that. But our bodies, our cells, every moment of every day are regenerating. We can redevelop strength. We can cultivate flexibility from wherever we are going forward. And it really comes into understanding that your cells are always anew, your body is always anew, and having that conversation with yourself that you can push past these limiting feelings or these boundaries within yourself. That mindset will really take you a long way. So a very important mindset piece to this, right? A lot of people feel frustrated with their flexibility or their lack of flexibility, right? They just feel like their body doesn't want to bend. And a number one thing to get into your mind and into your body about this is it's actually a good thing that your body isn't uber flexible, right? That means you have strong joints, and it means that your body is keeping you safe in your boundaries. Your body has boundaries for what you can do in your movement. That's a good thing. When you're moving into a back bend or a split, you're going to come to that point where your body says, that's good. That's good. We're not going to be, I don't know if we're going to be safe past this. So we're just stopping here, and that's fine. We don't need to move past this, right? By the way, pole dancers and aerialists are putting their bodies into all sorts of unnatural shapes. Okay, so we have to cultivate this. So just understanding, when you're stretching and you're having that experience, if you start to feel those frustrated feelings come up, that's fine. Acknowledge it, breathe through it, but take the opportunity to talk to yourself, to talk to your body and let it know, hey body, I appreciate that you're keeping me safe right now. I appreciate your boundaries. And guess what? It's safe to push past this. It's safe to go further than this. I'm safe to expand. When you take this approach consistently and patiently, that's really going to give you that result long term and allow you to keep it. Okay, we don't want to get flexible for a week and then lose it all. We want to be able to cultivate this for a long term. When starting out, you need to develop a training schedule that is consistent for you. And I mean for you. There's no standard for this. Everybody's body is different and everybody has different availability throughout the week. Not everyone has, an hour a day to put to their flexibility training. And guess what? You don't need that to get results. Decide what makes sense for you. Maybe it's 2 hours a week, maybe it's 2.5 hours a week, maybe it's an hour a week. Whatever you decide, it's good to have a couple sessions throughout the week that are considered more heavy training sessions. Okay, these are maybe an hour session. You're going to thoroughly warm up your body, and you're going to really decide, where am I going to focus for today? Am I going to focus on my back and shoulders? Am I going to focus on front splits? Am I going to do middle splits? It's good to actually focus in, even though we're going to be warming up the whole body. And yes, I recommend stretching out everything because everything is connected. We're really going to be focusing on improving the depths of certain flexibility in just one area per training session. Number one thing, anytime you train, you need to make sure that you're thoroughly warming up your body. And again, we want to warm up very much so the area that we're training, but let's do a little bit of overall work to get our whole body warm and limber. A misconception about flexibility. There's many. People don't understand how interconnected our bodies are. And so that's really important to recognize. I want to have a nice whole body, nice and warm when I'm really planning on pushing those flexibility boundaries. So if you can do a couple of those a week, fantastic. Maybe you don't have time to do that, multiple times a week. Maybe this other day you have 30 minutes. Maybe you just have 10 minutes here and there throughout the week. Honestly, if you can take 10 minutes a day and just do some light flexibility training, that is going to help you. Decide where those heavy sessions, maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3 heavier sessions throughout the week. In between there on different days, maybe take 10 minutes to 30 minutes warming, but also what's really important is to just see where our borders are for that day. Every time I train my flexibility, I don't have to push past. Maybe I'm not as warm, right? I'm not going to expect myself to go as deeply, but maybe I just have a few minutes to kind of feel through my body, warm it up a little bit, get my synovial fluid moving, get the blood moving, and just see where my max is for that shape. And breathe into it, right? Not expect it to go deeper, but just pushing it up will keep it there. So if you imagine we have our limit in our flexibility here, the idea is to keep pushing it and pushing it. Maybe we don't push it every day. Maybe one day I push it to here, okay, but then the next day I'm not going to push it. Maybe I just see if I can get where I was, okay? Or even just basically finding out what that boundary is for that time and that day is going to give you more of that push over time. So make sure you're warmed up, make sure you have a consistent schedule that you can do throughout the week, and make it really, really honest to your life and to your goals, and be really realistic with it. Don't be hard on yourself if you can't show up every single day to do this. Cultivate what you can be consistent and patient in. Another thing to consider, very important that not a lot of people realize, is we want to, when we're training something that's bilateral, for example, front splits, where we have a right and left split, we want to train and push the more flexible side first, less flexible side second. There's a couple of reasons for this. The first reason is that side is very comfortable. I like my right side first. That's my way more dominant side. I'm going to allow myself to go into that, and it tells my body, hey, this is where our limit is for this shape. It sort of works as like, when I can sink into that depth, it kind of sets the tone. When I go into the left side, it's like, hey, this is where we can be. It actually helps the body in cultivating pathways for more flexibility. This tip also works really well when we're learning a skill. Say our right side is a little bit stronger than our left. Learn it on the right side first. Understand why it's easier on that side. You can more understand what's going on, and then it helps you implement it on the other side. It sets the path for that movement. Another reason, and this one is very important, we need to be training bilaterally in our skills, also our flexibility, because what we never want to have in our body is severe imbalance from side to side. We don't want to be super, super strong or flexible on one side and not on the other side. This causes us to be inefficient in our bodies. It causes us to be more prone to injury. Our bodies are designed to be very bilateral, and we need to have bilateral strength and flexibility to be at our best. There's no getting away from it. Everybody has dominant sides. Everybody has holding patterns, meaning certain habits of how we hold our body. And that's perfectly normal. We all have it, but we want to be aware of it. If I'm overly dominant on my right side, and I say I do my left side first, and that's okay, but then I do my right side, and I'm already dominant on that side, and I really push it on that side, when I leave my flexibility practice, I'm going to be feeling that dominance in my right side. I want to be doing my stronger side first, but then really cultivating that balance to the other side. And the last thing I'm going to mention about this is we need to stabilize at the end. So many people will stretch and take the time, and they'll be really ooey gooey, juicy, deep into those stretches. And if they're not restabling those muscles, you could really hurt yourself. And what I mean by that is your muscles are relaxed and they're stretched. If you get up and you go to move, you could tweak something. And I've done this. I've had to learn this the hard way. So regardless of what you're doing, if you're doing that back stretching, you're going to need to do some core exercises, some crunches, some planks, something to restabilize those muscles and to say, hey, we've got some supportive work to do. Let's restabilize, let's reactivate. Same thing with your splits. If you've been holding your splits, awesome, great, get up nice and slow, but some really good just glute exercises, right? On all fours where you're lifting up the leg and the back and then to the side, fire hydrant style, something like that. Even sitting up and, moving through flexors this way. It's really important to reactivate those muscles before you go about your business, because if you move too fast, if you move in a way that your loosey-goosey body isn't anticipating, you could really strain something. If you're really serious about cultivating flexibility, it's important to realize what foods and what drink cause inflammation in the body. Certain things are going to cause more of an inflammatory response. There are actually other things that cultivate more of an anti-inflammatory response. Always drink lots of water before, during, and after flexibility training. That sounds simplistic, but it really does make a difference. You need to make sure your body is well hydrated. If you're really serious about improving your flexibility, it's good to take note of those things as well. So please take these into consideration. I wish you so much encouragement and good luck in your flexibility training. It's worth it, and it's only going to get better as you do it. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope this all helps, and until next time.